Yo, what's up you guys? It's Dilemma here, and for today's life story, it's another shroom trip story. This took place probably, I'd say around like 2 months ago. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and get right into it. Before we do, I just want to say I do not recommend any type of psychedelic or prescription drug or anything like that. The only thing I promote is cannabis, marijuana, weed, ganja, whatever you want to call it. Alright, so let's go ahead and get right into the story. So, if you don't know by now, I don't get my shrooms from a dealer or anything like that. I just go and pick them myself because I know how pastors around here that have them, and I know the right kind to get. So it was me and one of my old friends that went and picked them, and it was another one of my friends that was just driving us around. He didn't want to trip. It was me and my other old friend that wanted to. So we get I don't want to say I don't really know how much they weighed dried, but when we got back to the to my old friend's house, it weighed like, I don't know. I think I can put a picture up on the screen for you guys. It weighed over it was about an ounce, but they were still wet. It wasn't dried out, so I don't know typically how much that was. So we ate literally every single one of them except for two of them that looked kind of sketchy and didn't look like the right psilocybin ones, so we just left them out. So we started tripping, and it was probably, we ate the shrooms around I'd say 10:30ish, and my mom got off at work at 12 and she was coming to pick me up. So yeah, if you don't know, when you trip on shrooms, it normally lasts anywhere from 4 to 6 hours. So, and it takes probably about, I would say, 45 minutes to an hour to kick in. Well, not really for my skinny ass. It took about 30 minutes. So we ate the shrooms. We kept going in like a pattern. I would eat a piece of one, my two other old friends, they'd eat a piece of one, and we'd just keep going until they were all gone. Now, my old friends, they weigh more than I do. They're not fat or anything. They just I weigh probably 130 pounds, and they're along the lines of 160 to 180, something like that. So we're just sitting there, and we go, one of my friends is sitting there playing H1Z1 on his laptop. So me and my other old friend, we walk in his room, and we're just sitting there looking at weed, and I'm smoking a cigarette, and I think we're getting some weed ready to smoke. Well, he's sitting there with this jar of weed, and this is where my trip starts to kick in. And he said his wasn't kicking in yet, but in my opinion it looked like it was for him, because we opened this jar of weed, and I'm talking about, it was a good an ounce and a half of weed probably. It was getting close. It was around the 40-gram mark, and it was all just some dank too. So he's got this weed out, and it's in this jar. He spreads half of it out on this newspaper, and we're just picking up buds, just looking at them as close as we can, trying to find not a microscope, but a magnifying glass to look at it really good. And then all of a sudden, the weed just starts tipping off the newspaper and falling into the floor where the dog is. So we're trying to grab this weed as it's falling. He's holding the jar, and I'm letting buds fall in my hand. And I'm reaching, and as I'm reaching, it feels like I'm going so slow, and I can just watch the buds just dripping off the newspaper. And as soon as it hits the ground, I just spring into action mode, and I just start grabbing pieces of bud before the dog can eat it. And then I look up, I set the bud on the newspaper, and then more just starts falling off the newspaper. And then me and him just start picking it up. And then after we get all the weeds settled and we have it on the newspaper to where it won't fall, I just look at him and he looks at me, and we just start busting out laughing. And keep in mind, this is probably getting around to the hour mark after we already ate them. So we call his brother into the room that was playing H1Z1, and we start smoking. Now they're having a conversation, and I'm in and out of this conversation with them. I'm sitting there, we're passing around a raw, and if you don't know what a raw is, it's just a joint, raw paper. It's who they're made by. It's made by Raw. But anyways, you guys, so we're just sitting there passing this doobie around, and I'm hitting it, puff, puff, pass, it comes around, and it just seems like time is going by so slow. When I pass it, keep in mind there's three of us hitting it, and we're doing puff, puff, and every time I hit it, I'll pass it, and it seems like 10 minutes goes by and it gets back to me, but it don't even look like any of the weed's been burnt off the joint. So, I mean, obviously it was, but that's when I knew I started to trip. So I was like, yo, you guys, let me stand up and let me see if I can just walk real fast, because I'm starting to trip. And I stand up out of the seat, And as I'm walking around the room, it feels like I'm walking down a staircase. Like, I don't know how to explain it. It's like I'm walking and I'm just getting shorter and shorter and shorter. And I start to trip, but then I look at them and then they look at me and we just all start busting out laughing again. So that really saved me from like the anxiety attack or the ego death, or not ego death, but you know, like anxiety attack or anything like that. So we sat there, and after we smoke, I'm just sitting there and I'm like, bro, I'm tripping balls right now. Like, I start looking at the ceiling and the wall, and it kind of just seems like it's just breathing, like, you know what I mean, like just coming in and then out, in and then out. And then they're like, man, I don't feel anything. So whenever they said that, I'm just like, oh god, maybe I'm the one that ate the wrong mushroom. Maybe this is about to kill me. And if you watch my other shroom trip story, my most intense shroom trip, the same thing happened, to where it hit me first and not my other friends. And so I just blurred that out. I was like, nah, it's just because I'm a lightweight, and I might have ate more than they did. I don't really know. So we're just sitting there and they're just talking away. We're still passing the doobie, and I'm just hitting it, and everything just seems like it's just getting slower and slower and slower. And keep in mind, this is around the 11 mark, so like 11 o'clock. So I check my phone, and it's 11 o'clock, and I'm like, yo, what the shit? We just ate these like 15 minutes ago. And they're like, nah, bro, we ate these like at 10:30. And I'm like, no, there's no way. Like, it hasn't been a half hour. It's been only like 10 to 15 minutes. They're like, no, bro, it's been a half hour. So I'm like, okay, so that's why I'm tripping. So I pick up another piece of bud, and I'm just literally staring at it. And as they're sitting there talking, they notice I'm not saying anything, and they're like, yo, Jay, what are you doing? And I'm just like looking at this piece of bud, and all the crystals were just kind of like so vivid and bright. I don't know how to explain it. And like, just the smell of it was just so good. I like I said, you guys, you'd have to do them to know what I'm talking about. And if you heard that, sorry, that was my cell phone. But like I said, I don't recommend doing them, but if you do them, then you'll understand what I'm talking about. And it just seemed like the crystals were like starting to lift off the buds, and I don't know, I started to like, you know, hallucinate. So it's probably about an hour before my mom gets off work, and we're outside just messing around in nature, you know, just looking around. And we notice this moth is about to get mauled by my friend's cat. So, and this is a huge fucking moth, you guys. So I'm the hero of the day. So this cat starts to attack this moth, and I'm trying to like scare the cat away, making these weird noises. I can't remember what noises I made, but I'm just trying to like scare it away. So I pick up the moth and I throw it at my friend, and we just start throwing it back and forth at each other. And then the cat finally gets it. And we got so upset because this is when my friend, like I said, one of my friends was in there playing H1Z1, and one of my other friends was outside with me tripping. And we just felt so bad for that moth because the cat got it. And then we was thinking to ourselves, either way, the cat would have still have gotten the moth, even if we hadn't have been throwing it around and stuff. And about that time, that's when my mom pulls up. No, sorry again, that was my phone. And she pulls up, and the headlights are so bright. And keep in mind, my mom knows I've done shrooms in the past. She knows I like to trip every now and then. So I get in the car, and as soon as I get in the car, I look at her, I'm like, Mom, just know that I'm tripping on shrooms right now. Don't panic. And then she's like, what? I'm like, just don't panic. And then I won't start panicking because I get anxiety attacks a lot when I'm on psychedelics. And she's like, all right, are you sure you're safe? And I'm like, yes, ma'am, I'm safe. So we start leaving. We're going down the road. And keep in mind, you guys, tripping by yourself is not something I recommend because, like, you're the only one tripping. My mom's not a trip sitter. She don't know how to, like, trip sit you if anything goes wrong. So I'm just sitting there just watching the trees, and it's like they're moving. Well, obviously they're moving because we're in a car, but it's like they're coming in down at me through the windshield, like whenever we was going down the road. And then I look at the road, like the yellow lines, and it seems like they're spreading out and then coming back in. And it was just, I don't know, it was awesome. Like I wasn't like dreading it, but at the same time I was like really tripped out because, you know, you don't really see that kind of shit every day. So we get back, and I think we stayed the night at my grandma's that night, and I'm still tripping hard. This is only into like the 2.5 hour mark, so I'm like right there at the peak, you know, of my trip. So I'm sitting there, and if you don't know who X Code A is, or Luna, or Thurns or all of them YouTubers, they do trip stories also. So what I did was I sat there and I basically, for the rest of my trip, I just started watching their trip stories to like make myself calm down, and it actually worked. So there's a tip for you guys. If you're ever tripping on shrooms or any type of psychedelic, just watch my trip stories or watch anybody else's trip stories, and maybe it'll calm you down. In my opinion, it calmed me down a lot. And the rest of the night with me tripping by myself, the rest of the couple of hours, everything went okay. So yeah, that's basically it for this life story for you guys. If you liked it, leave a like and subscribe, and comment if you've ever had a crazy experience on psychedelics or anything like that. And there'll be more crazy life stories in the future for you guys, and I'll talk to you later. Have a great day. Peace.